right, this cut out on me. Just 1 second. Check, check, check. Let's see here. Okay. That didn't last very long. Okay. Live now. All right. So, Minnesota lawmakers shot and killed in a targeted assassination in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, and Champlin, Minnesota. This is my neck of the woods. These are not my representatives, but this is about an hour from where I am. And this is the radicalization you get. No, they're Democrats that were assassinated and attempted assassination. These were Democrats. This is what you get when you decide to stick up for foreign illegal aliens, criminals, gang members, child predators, drug traffickers, murderers, rapists. This is what you get. This is the response you get from people. When they see Democrats throwing away their own citizens and protecting dangerous foreign illegals. Instead, this is the kind of behavior you should expect. This is it.
We're collaborating with all local, state, and federal agencies on a full investigation. Canada's up-to-minute update on the situation here in Minnesota. You're going to be joined by Commissioner Bob Jacobson, BCA Superintendent Drew Evans, State Patrol Colonel Christina Bogoyevich, Champlin Park Police Chief Snyder, and Brooklyn Park Police Chief Mark Bruley, as well as the Mayor of Brooklyn Park. We're here today because an unspeakable tragedy has unfolded in Minnesota. My good friend and colleague, Speaker Melissa Hortman, and her husband Mark were shot and killed early this morning in what appears to be a politically motivated assassination. Our state lost a great leader, and I lost a dearest of friends. Speaker Hortman was someone who served the people of Minnesota with grace, compassion, humor, and a sense of service. She was a formidable public servant, a fixture and a giant in Minnesota. She woke up every day determined to make this state a better place. She is irreplaceable, and we've been missed by so many. Minnesota's thoughts and prayers are with her family, her loved ones, her children, and her parents. My prayers also go out to State Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette, who were each shot multiple times. The Hoffmans are out of surgery at this time and receiving care, and we are cautiously optimistic they will survive this assassination attempt. This was an act of target.
See, it's good that we got 2 victims in this shooting that are expected to survive. We'll get more information about that later. This is coming from Timothy Walls, but hopefully that information is accurate. But like I said before, excuse me, when Democrats consistently advocate and fight for, with your tax dollars, to protect criminal illegal aliens, this is the kind of radicalization that you get. What do you think was going to happen? What do you think was going to happen?
Targeted political violence. Peaceful discourse is the foundation of our democracy. We don't settle our differences with violence or at gunpoint. In the state of Minnesota, and as recently as last week, in the most closely divided state legislature in the country, we sat down, we worked things out, we debated, we shook hands and compromised, and we served the state of Minnesota together. We proved that it's possible, even in these politically charged times, to find compromise and adhere to the principles of democracy and civil discourse. We must all, Minnesota and across the country, stand against all forms of political violence. At this precipice moment we're on, this tragic act here in Minnesota should serve as a reminder to all of us. The democracy and the debates in the halls of Congress, in state houses, in school boards, is a way to settle our differences peacefully and move society to a better place. We're collaborating with all local, state, and federal agencies on a full investigation. We're committed to keeping Minnesotans informed as the situation continues. I assure you that those responsible for this will be held accountable.
Now, like I was saying before, Democrats, when they talk so radically about protecting criminal illegals, this is the radicalization you get. I don't agree with this, obviously. I don't. There's better ways to do it. But the Second Amendment specifically writes in there to protect the country against tyrannical, treasonous government. Any person could easily interpret a government who takes money from their own people to spend it and protect criminal, illegal aliens who prey on children, traffic drugs and people, and rape and murder. People could take that as a treasonous act, and I believe it is. And they will use that Second Amendment to shoot these people and kill them. Now, I don't know if that's exactly what happened here. That's just my opinion right now. That's the only logical thing I could come to. But they're playing with fire with this rhetoric. You're going to radicalize more people by doing this. It's absolutely ridiculous.
And each and every one of us are committed to making sure that a tragedy like this never repeats itself in Minnesota or across this country. I'd now like to turn it over to my public safety team to fill you in on the specifics of this ongoing investigation.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you, everyone, for being here today. My name is Drew Evans, and I'm the superintendent at the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. I want to start by just expressing our deepest sympathies to the communities, the family, the friends, and everybody that cared about the individuals that were gunned down today. When we have individuals like this in our...
I'll fix my mic real quick. How does it sound? How does it sound? Hello? Hello?
political leadership, they're not only political leaders, but they're members of the community, well-known members of the community, that the tragedy in a situation like this is not only for them, their friends and families, but us collectively, the communities they represent, us as a state of Minnesota as a whole. About 2 a.m. this morning, there was an original call in the city of Champlin where there was an individual that had shot Senator Hoffman and his wife. Police responded to that location. They were dealing with that and working through that process overnight. And then later on, at approximately 3:35, another call came in when it was officers proactively checking because they knew of the incident that occurred, and they were going to check on Speaker Hortman at that time, at which time Brooklyn Park police officers encountered the individual who immediately fired at them, and they exchanged gunfire, and then the individual was able to escape during that exchange of gunfire. At the residence in Champlin, there was life-saving measures that were provided there. Both individuals were transported, as was previously noted, and they both received surgeries for their injuries at the hospital, and their conditions are at this time, both those individuals, Senator Hoffman and his wife, are both alive at this time, but they suffered gunshot wounds and are obviously in a difficult situation. But we're cautiously optimistic that they will continue to improve. At this time, it is a very active scene still, as you've seen. The Brooklyn Park Police Department, along with other members, the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, State Patrol, FBI, BC, and many others are actively engaged in a manhunt for the individual that we believe is responsible for this. And so we'll be sharing the identity with those.
Yeah, so this person is still at large, still out and about. They have not caught this person. They don't know where this person is. I assume they'll catch this person soon. He was impersonating a police officer, and that's how he was able to gain access into the home of this lawmaker.
Those individuals as this progresses, but I'm going to caution you, I know there's going to be a ton of interest in this. We're not at the position we can do that as we're actively searching for that individual. Right now, just as noted, we have teams in the County Sheriff's Office in Champlin are working at the scene there that occurred there. And then we are also, as we're stabilizing this between Brooklyn Park, working on the homicide investigation with Brooklyn Park Police, the BCA, FBI is assisting there as well, and we'll be conducting crime scene investigation there. And then the individuals that were killed will be doing autopsies of those individuals to determine the extent of their injuries and how they passed away. But it was from gunshot wounds. At this time, I will answer questions after Commissioner of Public Safety Bob Jacobson speaks, but we'll be happy to take a few questions.
Thank you, Superintendent Evans. My name is Bob Jacobson. It's my honor to serve as the Commissioner of Public Safety for the state of Minnesota. This is a dark day today for Minnesota and for democracy, but we will not allow fear or violence to define who we are or how we move forward. We will stand together and we will stand strong. Our hearts, of course, go out to the victims, their families, their colleagues at the Capitol, and to the communities that they serve with dedication and with integrity. These are public servants, leaders who committed their lives to improving the lives of others, and they were targeted in a violent and cowardly way. The suspect exploited the trust of our uniforms, that our uniforms are meant to represent. That betrayal is deeply disturbing to those of us who wear the badge with honor and responsibility. We want to reassure the public that there is increased security in place for elected officials and others who may be at risk. If you see anything suspicious, especially involving individuals impersonating law enforcement, please report it immediately by calling 911 or your local police department. With that, I'll step back and we will be available for any questions. Thank you.
One reminder, please, as you ask your first questions, please don't forget to introduce yourselves, your media organization, and to the folks answering the questions, please don't forget to repeat the question.
So can you say it one more time? So you were just going to proactively check on Speaker Merritt's courtroom, and then police there encountered the gunman or someone with a gun.
Yeah, so they were just making routine rounds at this lawmaker's home, as they do for protection, obviously. And he just happened to be there. The police literally just stumbled upon him in action, murdering these lawmakers.
And exchange gunfire. Can you just go over that one more time, please?
I can. Good morning, Police Chief Mark Bruley, Brooklyn Park Police Department. The question is, how did we get to Representative Portman's house, and it was proactively or not? The circumstances unfolded in Brooklyn Park this morning is that we assisted the Champlin Police Department on a shooting. That shooting was made aware by one of our sergeants that it was at Senator Hoffman's home. In hearing that very intuitive sergeant asked our officers to go check on Melissa Hortman's home, the representative that lives in our community, just proactively as due diligence to swing by. That police officer and his partner pulled down the street. When they arrived at Melissa's house, they noticed that there was a police vehicle in the driveway with the lights, emergency lights on, and what appeared to be a police officer at the door coming out of the house. When our officers confronted him, the individual immediately fired upon the officers, who exchanged gunfire, and the suspect retreated back into the home.
Was this an actual police officer or an impersonating police officer?
Yes, the question is, was it a real person or a person impersonating a police officer? It was not a real police officer. This is somebody that clearly had been impersonating a police officer, again, using the trust of this badge and this uniform to manipulate their way into the home.
So Chief Bruley, janitorial parallel, the person not only was wearing a badge posing as a police officer, when they approached their victims, they had a car with lights and sirens?
Yes, the question is, what kind of vehicle and how were they dressed? They did drive a vehicle that looked exactly like an SUV squad car. It was equipped with lights, emergency lights that looked exactly like a police vehicle. And yes, they were wearing a vest, with taser, other equipment that would, a badge very similar to mine, that no question if they were in this room, you would assume that they are a police officer.
Chief Rudy, Adam Dexter with WCCO News. Can you describe the moments after that played out? You said the person went into the home, and then can you help us understand the next 10, 15 minutes of, you know, how we got to the point we're at now?
Yeah, briefly, although I'm just going to remind us that this is an absolutely an active investigation. We have thousands of people sheltered in place in the city of Brooklyn Park right now.
Yeah, so they have a shelter in place in Brooklyn Park right now. I don't believe it's the whole city. I believe it's just certain areas of the city. No one's allowed to leave their home. Big deal going on.
We are in an extensive manhunt involving hundreds and hundreds of police officers and SWAT teams searching, gridding off areas as we believe confidently the suspect had fled out the back of the house after being confronted by the police. Very briefly after the officers had exchanged gunfire and the suspect retreated into Melissa's home, they immediately went up to the threshold and looked in and seen a male that was down, clearly had been struck by gunfire. They made limited penetration, grabbed a hold of the male and drug him out to safety to attempt first aid. However, he was pronounced dead shortly after that. At that point, the officers surrounded the house, got additional resources and SWAT resources, and then ultimately went in with a drone identifying a female in the home.
How far apart are the two scenes? About 8 miles?
I would say, yeah, somewhere around 5 or 6 miles apart.
How much do you know about, did the person that was impersonating the officer who allegedly shot these people, did they knock on the door and people came to the door, or the person break into the home?
Yeah, it was knocking on the door and asking the person to come out, absolutely impersonating a police officer.
Do you all have the suspect's car?
We do have the suspect's car. Suspect is on foot. That is what the large-scale search is currently going on. I just remind residents of Brooklyn Park, I know it's been a long time, but those that are in the grid that we gave the alert out to continue to shelter in place. We're also reminding them that if somebody comes to the door and they knock on the door and claiming to be a police officer, please do a couple of things. One, call 911 and confirm that the officer belongs there. If they are a police officer, dispatch will be able to confirm that that person is a police officer. Also, we've informed all our officers in Brooklyn Park that they are not to approach anybody by themselves. They're to approach in pairs, meaning 2 officers. So if there's only 1 officer outside the door, do not answer the door and call 911. If it's a Brooklyn Park police officer or any of our partners that are assisting, they will come in pairs of 2 or more.
Do you know
You
if
guys
the
have
gunman
detained
said,
someone?
I'm sorry, 1 at a time.
do you know if the gunman said anything, like when he knocked on the door, did he say anything to like Senator Hoffman or anything, you know?
We do know that he did, but I'm going to hold that back as part of the investigation right now.
You guys did detain someone for information? Is that accurate?
This is a very large-scale search, so we have detained several people and questioned them, but we do not have anybody in custody at this time.
I know you may not want to identify that person publicly, but have you privately identified the suspect?
We have people of interest that we are looking for.
Michelle Griffith, Minnesota Reformer. Other than that, these are 2 Democratic lawmakers. Is there anything else to suggest that this is politically motivated?
Again,
I mean, of course it's politically motivated. I mean, it's a question that needs to be asked, but yeah, of course it is. You don't just impersonate a police officer, go to a lawmaker's home and kill them and their spouse. Of course it's politically motivated. Yeah. Especially when there's multiple lawmakers who have been shot. Yeah, of course it is.
I'm going to hold back most of the information. This is part of the investigation that we completed. This is rapidly evolving, just occurred a few hours ago, and we're trying to sort it out. We have partners from the FBI, the BCA, the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office, and almost every suburban agency in our community helping us with this. So it's very complex and working on it. What I will tell you, when we did a search of the vehicle, there wasn't a manifesto that identified many lawmakers and other officials. We immediately made alerts to the state who took action on alerting them and providing security where necessary. And that's about, I'll stop there.
Chief, thank you very much. We're going to take one more question.
Sure, with the PCA, can I ask just, you use the word target, and that's kind of along the lines of Michelle's question in terms of politics, Democrats, Republicans. These are both Democratic lawmakers. You said the word targeted. So targeted because they're politicians or targeted because they're Democratic politicians?
So the question is,
Well, that's a good question. Are they targeted because they're politicians or because they're Democrats? Now, the logical thing would to think that it's because they're Democrats, right? Because the Democrats are out protecting illegal aliens who prey on children, who traffic drugs and people, and who rape and murder. those are the people that we're trying to deport, and those are the people that Democrats are trying to protect all across the country. So you can only safely, logically assume, until we know more, that this person was motivated because that saw these government officials, Democrats in general, as treasonous traitors to the United States of America, looked at a Second Amendment and say, hey, this is here to stop these people. I'm going to go stop them. That's the kind of radicalization you get when you protect foreign illegal gang members, child predators, rapists, murderers, drug traffickers. When you side with those people over your own civilians and you use the money that you steal from your own citizens and spend it on these types of people, this is the kind of shit you can expect. This is it. It's not shocking. I'm not shocked.
Were they targeted, and when I use the term, why am I using the term? As Chief Bruley noted, there was a list of individuals, and the individuals that were targeted in this situation were on that list. And so when we're looking at that, as Chief Bruley said, it's far too early in the investigation to be able to provide information, but I do think we'll be in a position where we'll be able to develop the motivation behind these attacks, and we'll be able to provide more information as this unfolds. And so that's part of the reason we're using it, is I think there's some preliminary information that is telling us kind of where this is headed, but we need a lot more work done by all the teams that are here working on that to be able to provide that with you with a degree of accuracy.
Are you able to say how many individuals were on that list?
Thank you.
There's a rally at the Capitol today. Can you guys, is that still?
Yep, hold on.
advice about
Colonel,
that?
you want to talk about the rally at the Capitol?
Thank you.
Yep.
Good morning, Colonel Bogojevich with the State Patrol. We are aware of the demonstrations across Minnesota, including the Capitol and across the nation. We will work with our state partners and our local partners to provide security and safety for those that attend.
Christy, you've been on the Pioneer Press. Can you confirm that you will have a sniper station at the Capitol today?
The question was, will we have a sniper at the Capitol? We don't discuss our security plans on the Capitol grounds.
Smart, obviously, right? Oh, boy. What is the world coming to? Crazy. Let's see what else we got here.
We continue to follow a intense situation, a scary situation in both here, Brooklyn Park, and in Champlin. This is a live look at the Brooklyn Park City Hall, where we are hoping officials will give us more information very, very soon. In the meantime, we are getting some information from our sources of some of the things that are developing here on this Saturday morning. Joining me now is Amy Hockert, who I appreciate you joining and helping with this.
With the kids, and they have grown children, but they are all part of this. We all do it as a family, and this is not what we want to do. We don't want to live in fear. We don't want to sign up for roles that are going to put our family at risk.
Again, it's going to sound like I'm making excuses for this. I am not. It's only logic. When you side with criminal illegals over your own citizens, this is the kind of radicalization and behavior you can expect. Simple as that.
And that should not be normalized, but yes.
You're sheltering in place. Is that instructed by the sergeant at arms? Is that instructed by your local police? Did you make the call to ask them to come? How does that work in a situation such as this?
Well, I don't know how it works because this is not normal, but I will tell you that my city where I live reached out to me, and they said that the police department would reach out as well. So I got a call. And I was not told I was on a list, but there was a reference to a list, and I did not ask because I had no idea that there was a manifesto. But I do, we live on a street that is pretty safe, obviously, but in this moment, I think everyone's being extra cautious, and I appreciate and thank the public servants and our police chief and our police department for sending a squad in our street and making sure we are safe during this time until the alleged perpetrators are caught, because they are still at large.
Mm-hmm.
Our condolences to you, and you know, we're thinking of you and your family as we are with all of the lawmakers. We can't say it enough. This cannot be normalized, and we appreciate you coming on with that message today. And also,
no, I agree. It cannot be normalized, but when you actively plot against your own citizens, what do you expect? What do you expect? This is the kind of behavior and radicalization you get when you side with illegals that don't belong here. When you actively work against the federal government that harms your citizens by not deporting these people. This is the kind of shit you can expect. This is the kind of radicalization and justification people will use to do these kinds of things.
This changes a lot of things.
And I do want to point out just a tiny bit of clarity. Her shelter in place is different. That is lawmakers. The shelter in place in Brooklyn Park has to do with anyone, public servants or not, within the 3-mile radius of the Edinburgh golf course, and that is still very much underway as the manhunt is underway. So just want to clarify that.
In fact,
she
Ryan,
referred to it as shelter in place, but is a little bit different.
This might be a good time just to pop that map back up right now, as we can just continue to keep this very much at the top of mind, that there is the shelter in place in that 3-mile radius of Edinburgh golf course, and you can see the map right there. Our Paul Bloom is near the home of Representative Melissa Hortman right now, and we'll check in with him in just a little bit here as he is on.
All right, thank you to our Fox Minneapolis team as we do continue to follow this breaking news story. Again, a live look there at the setup for the news conferences that we have been getting sporadically here. Again, we're unsure when we're going to get another update on all of this. So we're going to continue to monitor it as well. Again, the last update we got here was maybe just about 30 minutes or so at this point, where they were asking people to not attend the No Kings protests that are scheduled today across the state. Speaking of, I did want to share with you some of the live looks we are getting into our newsroom as of right now. This is out of Los Angeles, California. Again, this coming just days really after those anti-ICE protests. And that is that live look right there. Again, one of the feeds.
All right, this has nothing to do with
we continue
what we're looking at here. All right, well, we'll just wait for more information to come out. But 2 lawmakers, Democrats in Minnesota, shot. 2 people killed. As far as I know, 1 lawmaker's been killed along with her spouse, her husband. Shot in their home by a person impersonating a police officer. We're just going to wait and see exactly what's going on with more information that comes out. It's crazy stuff, man. Stay tuned.